What's good, guys? Fantasy Joe back here with some more fantasy football content. Today, I am talking about Austin Ekeler and his fantasy profile, his fantasy outlook for this upcoming 2021 season. If you guys are new, please hit that subscribe button down below. Hit that like button, really helps out the videos. If you have any questions or comments, leave them down below as always, and I will respond. Okay, guys, Austin Ekeler, one of my favorite backs to draft in this draft. Honestly, will I end up getting him in most of my drafts? Probably not, because I think he's going to end up being a back of the first round pick, to be honest with you. That's where he's currently going, and I expect that trend to continue. For a while, we saw him going that second round, but now it really looks like he's going to be a back of the first round pick, and honestly, he should be. He averaged 13.8 fantasy points per game in 2020. That includes his injured game into that as well. And going back to that 2019, we saw him finish as the RB6 overall in fantasy. So we've seen him be very good for fantasy in recent seasons. And that's something I wanted to talk about. So when Ekeler finished as RB6 in that season, he only had 100. That was the season where Melvin Gordon held out at the beginning of the season, came back halfway through. So Austin Ekeler only had 132 carries that year he finished as RB6, and he did a ton of his work through the passing game, averaging about 60 yards per game and 92 receptions for 993 yards, almost at 1,000 yards receiving that year. But last year, we saw him really be utilized fully in the rushing game as well. Listen to this 17-game pace he was on for last year. If you take away that injured game where he got banged up in the first quarter, I just threw that game out, used all the same games, and I think honestly they might have been holding him back a little bit when he came back from that injury, not giving him the full workload that they normally would have because they were worried about him getting hurt again. But they really didn't have much choice. But he was on pace for 215 carries and 96 receptions. It was a 17-game pace from last season if you exclude that injured game. And that's a 311 touches total. That's a whole lot more than that 132 carries he got, and he's keeping that same reception, that same involvement in the passing game, that same reception numbers. Cleared would have cleared his was on pace to clear even his reception number from the year previous when he finished his RB6, and add about 70 carries to that. I think he is a legit 200 carry back. I think he's going to get that 90, closer to 90 receptions in the passing game. That's a dangerous combo. We're talking Alvin Kamara level touches, and he's a fantastic player. We've seen him dominate. Whenever he's been used, he's been very good. He's a really good running back. I've got no doubt about that. And now we talk about one of the biggest things for him is his vastly improved offensive line. So last year they had the number 32 ranked offensive line according to Pro Football Focus. This year, entering the year, they project them to have the 18th best offensive line in football. That's a great improvement for them. They added Corey Linsley from the Packers, the highest graded center in all of football last season. I think that's huge. You see a center really impact the running game. You get the best center in football, maybe. I think that has a chance to really help out that running game. They also added Rashawn Slater with their first pick in the draft. Good offensive lineman at left tackle. And they got two guards to come in and start that'll replace the unit they had last year. Really, they upgraded just across the board, 4 or 5 new starters. And I think when you have Justin Herbert as well attached to you, and you've seen Justin Herbert lean on Austin Ekeler, he really gets the ball to whoever the best players are. He feeds targets to Keenan Allen. He feeds targets to Austin Ekeler. We've seen that. I expect that trend to continue, and Justin Herbert is fantastic. So I think he's going to be attached to a pretty darn good offense this upcoming season. My stat predictions for him, I've been predicted for over 850 rushing yards, more than 80 receptions, 800 plus receiving yards, and 10 total touchdowns. I think he's going to get 5 or 6 on the ground and then 4 or 5 through the air and get that 10 number, be right around 8 to 10 touchdowns anywhere I expect him to be. That's the only area he hasn't really excelled in. Although the year that he was finished at RB6, he had 8 receiving touchdowns. Could he have a big post a big score there and then get some more groundwork? Like I said, I think that center is really going to help them. And there's very little competition for him as far as stealing carries, and we know he's going to be that third down back for this team. So I'm all in on Austin Ekeler this year. I think he's a safe pick at the back of your first round, and if you can get him in the second round, I absolutely love the value. If you guys have made it to this point in the video, please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and if you have any questions or comments, leave them in the comment section down below. Until next time, this is Fantasy Joe. See you guys.